Yeah, thank you, and hello everyone. Good to speak with you. I would have hoped we would have better reasons to speak altogether and would have some nicer things to speak about, but it is what it is. Not only we have lost the game, we also have picked up some form of a virus and dealing with that right now. But yeah, I have to say I have to give credit to everyone in our group. We're handling that way professional. We had from the beginning very good communication about that, and I think that everyone is in a good place. We are now more or less working through from day to day how the situation evolves and changes and what that means for our training tomorrow. So I can tell you already that I don't have an answer yet, but that we expect that things hopefully become better from day to day. And we had also in the last 24 hours more or less no new case, what is then also a good sign that all the protocols are working. And yeah, we remain open minded for every scenario that comes, for whatever that means for the next days. But we are preparing for everything. But we're not nervous about it, or we're not concerned about it at all. So happy to answer every additional question and happy to provide as much information as I have. But as always in medicine, that's something that I learned very early in this job is they're never 100%. So we still have a lot of open questions on this, and we're also in exchange with the league and with their medical team and the medical teams of the national team players to fully understand the whole thing. But again, I think it's everything under control. What that means for the next 2 3 days, I can already say here, I don't know yet.
Thank you, Axel. We will start with question from Michael and then Har. Michael?
Hey Axel, I mean, first of all, hopefully you're okay and that you weren't hit by this.
Yeah, there's an interesting fact that everyone who wasn't traveling back with the team is absolutely fine. We had Steve Nash and his son there. Dave Durr flew back the next day to Colorado, and I was on my way to Buenos Aires. So all of us are good. So for that reason, that is a little hint that it might have been something that happened after the game, but we don't know yet. I will not. I don't think it's right to speculate anything before we have not more proof. But I'm luckily okay, and I'm very happy about that because I was way far away, and it would have been very bad to be in Buenos Aires in a hotel and feeling so sick.
Oh yeah. Well, that's good to know. And you've answered one of the things I was going to ask there. I mean, when did the symptoms then first start to appear? Was it on the flight home or was it once the team and staff had landed?
Yeah, we're still working through this, honestly. I can say that it was pretty clear the next day, starting at the end of the whatever that was Monday. Um, so that we had I would say, a clear indication of symptoms. Then yeah, you always go back and somebody said, "Oh, I had already some stomach issues before." We have a lot of supporters who traveled back and had issues, so
Mm.
you also have to find out is what is related and what is not related. Always somebody can have an issue if you're in such a city and in such a different environment. So we really try to not speculate too much and to wait for the results of the tests, and is it really the same for everyone, and what is really the origin of that, from the blood test and all the other tests. And I think then we maybe can speculate at least a little bit. I don't think that we ever will find out where it really was coming from.
Okay. I know you can't say for definite what is going to happen around Sunday's game, but for a team that was already down 10 players, obviously this is not ideal. What kind of discussions or what kind of guidelines exist in MLS that would allow a game to get called off? Is there a certain number of players that you have to have? But not just in terms of that. Even if players are recovered and are good to go on Sunday, they're going to have been dehydrated, lost weight, so they're not going to be in a healthy or a fully fit state to play. Is there anything you can share in that regard?
Yeah, I can only share. I can share that for that reason, we also work with the health authorities in British Columbia together with the infection disease experts, because we wanted to make it very clear right from the beginning to the league that we're not making anything up. That this is a real problem that we are dealing with. That's something that we have picked up on the trip to Mexico. And the protocols are pretty clear. If the safety and health of the players who play would be on risk, then the league has the right to cancel a game. Is that the case? Is obviously up to discussion and also more research and analyze where we are at and how our situation looks like. For that reason, I think it is very unlikely that. Or it wouldn't. I don't think it would be, or it wouldn't even be possible to make a fair analysis on that before we know how our training situation looks tomorrow. But it's not ideal. The situation wasn't already ideal. I think the only similar thing that I have seen in MLS so far was the conference final between Philadelphia and New York, where it was COVID related, and we all know that Philadelphia had to play with a similar amount of players out. And to safety and health also counts for safety and health also counts that you have enough players available who can play on that level. We can also not put a kid in that is not ready, and then we put him on risk. So where are the players? We really credit to everyone who is working on those protocols. We even have a return to training protocol where somebody has to do a max test first, and we have to see is his body even up or ready to tolerate a certain amount of load. We have done that today with a few players. And those who had never had symptoms, we have also a few that never had symptoms. So, and we will continue to do this, and we will continue to update the league. We have an email chat with them, and Jim Bovard and the infection disease expert of British Columbia is on that. I myself and some deciders on the league side. And the emails are going back and forth there. I think we had today at least 10 emails with updates from our side and some additional questions from MLS side. So I think that's what I mean. If I think no one is really panicking or concerned, because it feels like this is approached in a very good and reasonable way. And if there is a decision to be made, then I think then no one is shy of making the decision, because then all informations are available to make this decision.
Thank you, Michael. And we asked if you have one question and one follow-up. We'll move it on to Har next, please.
Thank you, Nathan. Welcome home, Axel. It's not the surprise you were expecting. In terms of the match on Sunday, what is the club's current stance? Would you like that game postponed?
I don't think that there's our clear stand is, and unfortunately I have to stay that way. If we have enough healthy and fit players available, we want to play it, of course. That's what it is. I don't think no one ever wants not to play a game if he thinks he has a group together that is ready to compete in this game. And I really want to separate that from the fact that some other players are not available. So we have to compare it with the situation that we have been in already anyway. And so we have to see if from the remaining players, I would say almost everyone is ready and available, and then we obviously want to play the game. That's just what it is. And I think also we have a lot of players who were looking forward to play this game and to prove themselves. And there would also be a lot of disappointment if, for the discussed reasons, we would not be able to play the game.
Axel, in terms of players and staff, what is the number? Can you give us how big scale-wise it's impacting the club?
Yeah, it's more than 50% of the people that have been on the plane, but there were more staff members than players on the plane. So But I think it's also pretty fair to say that it was more than 50% of the players. That's more or less the number. Also, we had one additional staff member who had symptoms last night at 2:30 a.m. So I'm very careful here to provide a number, because I really hope that we have the final number. And we also have tested everyone, and then we also have to find out has everyone exactly the same reason for the issues you always have. If on the other trips when we were coming back from Mexico and it was also super hot, and things are different there, we also had one or other player who didn't felt great for a day, and now of course you put everything together in one box, and for that reason we have also tested everyone, and we will know as soon as we have all final results.
Thank you.
Thank you, Har. We'll go to next. We'll go to Gemma, and then Felipe. Gemma.
Hi, Axel. Can you tell us whether anyone was feeling ill during the game?
In hindsight, everyone felt ill during the game. I don't think everyone has raised symptoms that were even close to the symptoms that they had on that we have then seen Monday evening, Tuesday. So yes, I want to be a little bit careful here, because you might hear from the one or other player that he said, "Oh, I had already a weird feeling in my stomach or whatever before the game." But I would say if no one would have got ill, they would have had the feeling, and they would have said it's just maybe nervosity or something else. And that happens also if we play in Toronto or in Austin and at certain games. So yes, some players have raised after that they already on match day felt a little bit, but I would say our indication is still that the group has completely been together, and everyone has eaten the same and from the same buffets, and there was never something different. And that includes me and Dave Durer or Nash or also those who have no symptoms. And then it feels like something happened after the game, and then on the flight in the plane it was somehow transmitted. But now I'm a little bit in the speculations that I didn't really want to go to. So my answer to that is unlikely. It was already there during the game.
And can you talk about just how unusual something like this is?
Yeah, the thing is, it is unusual because normally everyone is very careful and you have a lot of good protocols in place. But if it happens in a team, then it is very usual that it spreads out, because we're sticking so close together, use the same shower, same restrooms. We're on the plane, we're 70 people or 75 people on a plane, and you know how a situation is on a plane with washrooms, and you fly 6 hours. So and we feel a little bit like a family. If we are all together in our building, in our hotel, in our plane, in the buses, then we treat everyone like our family, and you don't have a lot of distance and I would say a caution protocol. So for that reason, in my experience in 26 years now, I had it a few times, and then every time when it broke out, it immediately became a big thing, and so many different individuals have been infected. But in general, luckily, it doesn't happen that often.
Thank you, Gemma. We'll go to Felipe next, please.
Hey, Axel. I know you mentioned that it roughly was hitting about 50% of the players as well as with staff. I'm curious to see how is that affecting, you don't have to name specific names, but since we know so many players are going in international duty, how is that affecting those specific players? And I know you said you had conversation with international health, like the health team from the national teams. How is that sort of developing now that that's an added fold to this kind of this outbreak?
Yeah, it has. I would say it spread it over them as well. It's the same. It is almost everywhere the same percentage somehow. It's something that we also have to understand why it impacts another 50% not. That you have to also look at the other way around. Oops. Said that, we have connected with the national teams, and they have done their precautions. And we had a few guys that could come in today that have been that had never symptoms, and we have a few guys that might return tomorrow. And that's the same for the national teams. Luckily, I think everyone is fine and ready to play still the games. Anyway, everyone had like 2 days off after this big load on Sunday. And so far, I haven't heard that it had a bigger impact to any more than maybe a training session at the national team level as well.
And then I know.
And again, it feels like that everyone who wasn't traveling back had less impact. So the national team players, most of them were not traveling back with us. So most of them had way less or no symptoms.
Okay, good. And I know that you guys were, trying to do the best practices for this final traveling to Mexico. You brought your own chef, coordinating with hotel staff for their meals and everything. Has that sort of helped, I guess, weed down what could have caused this? And knowing, because you tried to do the best in terms of these practices, it makes it a little bit easier, hopefully, to identify what went wrong.
Yeah, I think there are a few things that we can definitely exclude where this could have happened. There are a few things especially things that happen after the game. Again, I don't want to speculate here. I only know that in the official recommendations of the Canadian authorities as well as the German authorities, you can read very clear that you shouldn't use water at all, not even to wash your teeth. And is it possible to avoid completely the contact with water, especially if you shower or whatsoever? So I would say there are always risks, and you always are on risk that the one or the other feel something. So many fans that traveled back that had zero contact with us had some symptoms. We really have to look what we think at the end, if we know what it is, was a potential source of it. But again, it feels like it happened on Sunday because the outbreak was right after, and again, not, and those who haven't been with the group after that haven't been impacted at all. So that's a little indice, but we don't know yet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Felipe. We'll go to Joe next.
Hi, Axel. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us. Just overall, since Sunday, how frustrating is it to come out of a loss like that on that scale and then having to deal with this? Like, can you describe that?
Yeah, maybe it's better to have all negatives in 1 week this year. I will take that. If we then have if we have everything negative and all frustration packed in 1 week, then it's okay. Yeah, the game, of course, there was a lot of frustration. I would say probably a lot of sadness. I don't even know if it was so much frustration at the point. It was a lot of sadness. It was anyway a little bit of a special situation because a lot of players left the team. A lot of the starters left the team and went to their national teams. That helped probably a little bit to distract from what happened on Sunday. And when this story popped up at the beginning, it starts little, and then you think, oh, okay, some people have picked up something, and then it becomes a bigger story. And then at some point you say, really, everything comes together in this week. But it's there's no way to look back or to combine those two things. It's just to look forward and to see what is the situation tomorrow morning when we want to train again, and what does it mean for Sunday, and then if we play Sunday, How can we find a way to show a good performance, the best possible performance? Because that's the one thing that obviously everyone was super sad about. That I think that everyone has maybe shown his worst performance of the year last Sunday. So that's of course it's the worst day to pick. Final is always a bad day to pick a bad performance. And so Sunday is a total different situation. It's also a lot of different players, who were really ready and really happy to show that they're also an important member of this stuff. And so I would say I'm fully focused on finding a way that might still work and that they have the chance, and then we will see.
Thank you for that. And also, just in terms of the players and staff that have had symptoms, how quickly are they progressing back to health? And are you just able to provide any sort of detail on what they might be going through?
Yeah, that's with medicine is never 100%. One comes back and is completely drained, and another one comes back and says, "I actually feel good." Also, there were different intensities of impact from this illness. So hard to say. We really test everyone, and I think tomorrow morning when we come together and have maybe a few more guys there and we can test them, we are in a better position to understand or to see how many, I would say, fully ready guys we really have.
Thank you, Joe. We'll go to Simon next.
Hi, Axel. Obviously you're in dialogue with the league, but it was interesting in knowing how much dialogue you're having right now with Sunday's opponent, Seattle Sounders.
No, we had no dialogue with the Seattle Sounders. I don't know if the league has reached out to them, but for now, look, our contact point is the league, and I would say the more the Seattle Sounders know about that, the more they will push to play, obviously, because I think that they see a very good chance next Sunday then. So we focus on speaking with our authorities, and for that reason we have also involved the BC authorities to make crystal clear this is not just a little bit dramatized by us. This is real, and the infectious disease authorities are working on that and have shared their opinion and also their approach to this. And we're in the middle of this process, and then we see where this will go.
Because if there is a possibility that it is postponed, it could lead to sort of fixture congestion towards the end of the year. Because if I'm not mistaken, this would be Seattle's last league game before the Club World Cup. So, is that one of the things that's in your mind a little bit about Sunday?
No, I don't think even in the conversations with the league that was never an issue. So to say, okay, we have to find a way because Seattle has so many dates occupied through the competitions that are coming. It was very clear that right from the beginning that the league was fully focused on health and security of our players, and that will be the only basis to make this decision. And that if that leads to some problems with the schedule later, then we have to fix them. But we cannot put schedule problems ahead of player safety and security.
Thank you, Simon. We'll finish up with follow-up from Har.
Axel, I'm wondering, has any player or staff member had to have any trip to the hospital or any extra care in that regard?
No, it wasn't necessary.
And I'm told the number is above 30 players and staff. Is that accurate?
50% of 75 people in the plane is more or less. I stayed awake because I actually, honestly, I don't know the exact number. It also changed last night again, so I have not the exact number, but I know that the number is somewhere in the middle, somewhere around 50%, and we had 75 people on the plane. Yeah, so.
And some speculation that it was the post-game meal that the team and staff had that was the cause. Is that accurate? Is that what you're hearing?
I really don't want to speculate because it also leads to then accusations. Who was responsible for that? Was it provided by our opponent or whoever? We had actually 2 post-match meals. I don't even know that because I wasn't at the airport, because there was more food provided at the airport again. Yeah. The only thing I can say that in our first short little research, it is interesting that if in all groups, players, staff, traveling party, national team players, it was more or less 50%, that the people that haven't been there after the game have 100% healthy people. That is obviously an indication that it has something to do with this, because just by percentages and statistics.
Thank you for taking the time.